Baba Buba's Dream by Radichkov. Stoencho's grandmother dreamt a lot and always shared her dreams with us. Who was going to fall where? Who was going to die where? Who was going to marry whom? Who was going to lose money? All in all, she mostly dreamt about bad things, and we always found it very interesting to listen to her. She would tell her dreams so vividly that it felt like the whole world around us was swirling and we couldn't feel the ground beneath our feet, as if we were flying into something we couldn't name back then. Even today, we can't name it, but the memory of Stoencho's grandmother, Baba Buba, still stays with us. Baba Buba was a very large woman, Stoencho's grandmother, that's it, and we all called her Baba Tonka because she was tough and determined like Baba Tonka. When Baba Buba was a girl, she was a lonely child because she was very ugly, and the other children would always mock her. They would call her a vampire, a caraconjul, a pest, and who knows what else.
Dirty freaky scarecrow, dirty freaky scarecrow.
But she was never resentful. No, she knew from an early age that she was ugly, a fact she wasn't much impressed by, because she had her father to take care of. He was very sick, but also poor and widower. Buba was all that the bedridden and the destitute man had.
There's nothing to eat today, no!
But Buba was a fighter, apparently taking after her mother, who was quite something. Her mother had abandoned her entire family because they would not let her marry Buba's father, so she told them, "Mind your own business," and went and married Buba's father and was very happy. But they were poor, so Buba's mother worked hard all day and did everything just to earn some money. She even learned how to lay roofs. People mocked her a lot for that, but she didn't bat an eye and kept laying roofs. And one day, while working on a roof, she heard a voice behind her. Whatever that voice was, sinister, gentle, coaxing, or deceitful, no one knows to this day. But apparently, Baba Buba's mother must have truly angered nature and the entire order of the world for such a mischievous voice to appear, because where has it ever been heard of that a woman could lay roof tiles? The world loves everything to stay in order and to be arranged as it's supposed to be arranged. And when something is out of order, like a woman laying roof tiles, the world gets very offended and immediately tries to break your spirit. Actually, the world is not so much offended as it is afraid of anything different.
But let's not stop philosophizing for who I am to claim I know all about the world. To that question, I reply with a question of my own. Who are you anyway? And it will never end until we end up fighting each other, and then pure might will prevail. But might, it's not always right. Because I've seen plenty of bullies in my time, and most of them were fools. And I've also seen plenty of rich men who were worth nothing. And now you'll stop saying that. It's that the weak and the poor people say, and then again, we'll end up fighting. And then, let's anyone guess when this ends.
But I was talking about Stoencho's grandmother's mother. People laughed at her for laying roofs. But roofs fall apart. And since there was no one else to call, because no one else in that area laid roofs, they called her many times. They called her again for a big roof, and she climbed up there, and a voice was heard. That voice startled Baba Buba's mother so much that she jumped up and started to run. And she ran and ran and ran, and at some point she looked around and realized that there was no ground beneath her feet, that she has been running in the sky. That voice, old folks still tell that story, started to laugh ominously, and Buba's mother realized she is floating in the air, and then fell into a well. Boom! Everyone heard it, and people rushed to see what was happening, going straight to the well. They shouted, there was commotion, horror, and finally, it became clear that someone has fallen into the well. People descend with a rope, but found nothing except a bottomless hole that in its deepest end glowed like the sun. Baba Buba and her father were stricken with griefs, and her father fell ill. Buba grew up and became stronger, and the stronger she got, the uglier she became. But she didn't give up. She went into the forest to look for nuts, blueberries, mushrooms, and even a rabbit, if there was one, to catch, to get whatever she could from the forest. Now look, the children might have laughed at Buba for being ugly, but they were also afraid of her, because only she dared to go into the forest, where it was said that there were scary things, spirits, and semudivas and such. But people nowadays don't believe in such things. We used to believe in them when we were children. But it seems to me that because we've stopped believing in such things, the spirits have packed up and moved elsewhere to live. Why would they stay in a place where no one pays attention to the inexplicable of the world? They might be scary, yes, but that could be due to the fact that we are unable to understand them. They might be beautiful and interesting, okay, maybe not entirely benevolent, because they tend to be a bit malevolent. But what can you do? They have souls too. They are different, they are not human, but I don't believe they were malicious. If they felt sad enough to live, it means they had souls too. Anyway, the children were afraid of Baba Buba because she wouldn't often visit secret place to gather things from the forest. And she'd always come back with something, but she never told anyone what she had seen in the forest. Yet, she must have seen something because the day her father died, she very calmly went to the priest and the gravedigger and then took them to her father. "But the man is still alive. You shouldn't call us before he has passed," the man insisted. Buba very calmly brought them into her home. When her father saw her, he was already on his last breath. He called her to his side, whispered something in her ear, and then died. The priest and the gravedigger shuddered. But realizing they could make some money off the whole thing, they pulled themselves together and started telling Buba what needs to be paid for and what needed to be done. Without shedding a single tear, she threw both of them out and said she would take care of her father herself. They cursed her, then returned to the village and started bad-mouthing her, saying she was wicked and evil, and that's how Baba Buba got her bad reputation. But she didn't bat an eye. She carried her father out to the yard, washed his body, and then dressed him beautifully. She took him to the forest and buried him in a secret place that only she knew. We talked a lot that day about what might have happened in the forest, what exactly Baba Buba had seen and understood, but it was not for us to know. If you ask me, and I had to take a guess, I'll say that in this world nothing is truly lost. When her mother went running in the sky, she offended the forces above, and they punished her. But because she carried some valuable knowledge with her, it wasn't lost. She must have used it all up, and too abruptly at that, when she flung herself into the heavens, and she must have unveiled many secrets for that voice she heard, whatever its nature was, to banish her to the center of the earth. It's also possible that it did not banish her at all, but saved her. And because a balance of some sort was broken as a result of Buba's mother's banishment, since perhaps it was time for a man to come closer to these secrets of existence, the unknown forces returned her mother's gift to Buba herself. And she must have found the place where she was given the power to see and foresee, which is why she knew her father was dying. So Buba was only gifted the ability to see bad things in her dreams. Who would fall, who would die, and who would marry. Secrets of all kinds roam the world, but they roam more freely now because who has the time to notice and unravel them? One of the largest secrets was Baba Buba's personal life. The whole village hated her from a young age, ignoring her because there was something inexplicable about her. How she got married, it's little known. Her husband, a man from another village, quickly passed away, but he left her the child who became Stoencho's mother. And mother now, Baba Buba bothered no one, and gradually the village's anger towards her subsided. But she gained a reputation of seeing terrible things in her dreams. So people started seeking her out and asking her about her dreams, but she would share her dreams only with the person she had dreamed of. At last, she started dreaming about the entire country, and folks from near and far began to flock to her. Baba Buba became quite famous, but she soon realized that she cannot use her gift the right way. Every time she told people what she had dreamed of, they would start scheming and trying to change their fate. But no matter how much they twisted and turned, they would always meet their fate. As old folks say, if someone is meant to drown, they wouldn't hang themselves. But people don't want to listen. Despite Baba Buba's growing fame, one day she closed her doors to the public. They kept seeking her out, but she turned everyone away. I've stopped dreaming. That's it. No more. That's what Baba Buba would say, and people eventually left her alone to raise her daughter. And this was what Baba Buba wanted, to raise her child in peace, to make sure the little girl has a straightforward life, because she didn't want to confuse her. Baba Buba was very wise and had great love in her heart. And raise her daughter she did. She used the money saved from the dream telling to secure a good life for the girl, and then found her a good husband, a kind, gentle, hard-working man. And that's how Stoencho came into the world. No one from around here had ever seen a person more awkward than Stoencho. Always confused, always in the dark, constantly roaming the woods. Baba Buba became sad then, because she realized that no one can escape their destiny. The gift knows its own way. It gets passed on whether you like it or not. It was believed that Stoencho was touched by the gift as well, because of him being a bit peculiar and all that. It's true we would often mock him, but it's also true he was always either in the woods or telling the tallest tales that no one even believed. He would claim he has seen leftovers from fairy feasts, water spirits' footprints, and who knows what else. But all that is gone now. He would add, doesn't exist anymore. Baba Buba would listen to him talk and worry. She couldn't escape her fate. Something greater than us is directed our lives and played with them. Gradually, she returned to dreaming. But because she has learned her lesson, then people would always try to take advantage of her gift, she began sharing her dreams only with us, the children. We kept her secret and kept our eyes on things to see if what she dreamed would come true or not. One day, Stoencho came back from the forest very excited. Bobby the magpie, who loves to chatter like a magpie, that's why we call him Magpie, and I were sitting with Baba Buba preparing lunch. Buba had taken us into her home as if we were her own children, and we were sitting there. Stoencho burst it and started babbling, a white grin on his face.
The sky will open, it will open and swallow everything, and a day will come that will last forever, and will never return here again.
Baba Buba, smiling and calm a moment ago, suddenly became very serious. She sent us out, saying she needed to talk to strangers in private. We knew that Baba Buba never joked, so we left. But we asked if she would tell us afterwards. She told us to come back in the morning. We came back and saw Stoencho as we had never seen him before. calm, staring at his feet, not greeting us, not smiling, focused, different. Baba Buba, all serious, said, "Sit down, I'll share something with you and no one else."
You know how the village is now, right? I dreamed it different, empty, not a soul, no wind blowing, no bird singing, only the faint crackling of a small fire. Early morning, smoke rising from one place where the still is. 3 bearded men sitting there, unrecognizable, whispering, but the place swallows their whispers, making everything silent again. The last drop falls to the ground, and the men rush after it. They start shouting and fighting each other, and suddenly they hear the stars. And the whole world turns inside out and is sucked into the well where my mother jumped. Brighter than the sun, light erupts from it. The men watch, and a new world appears before their eyes. One for which there are no words.
We got chills. We were just kids after all. We didn't really understand what Baba Buba was telling us, but we felt it was something fateful. In some way, it concerned us, and we knew that everything would be different from now on. Then Stoencho's mother came in and started scolding Baba Buba for filling our heads with nonsense. She seemed embarrassed and told us not to come there anymore. We felt sad, thought we didn't know why, but we left, and went straight to the well to see if anything would come out of it. Stoencho didn't even look in. It was as if he knew something. But we shouted, "Come on, Stoencho, we might see something." He turned his back and looked at the sky, and we looked up. Sky, clear, cloudless.
What is up there will come down here.
Both I and Magpie told our parents what Baba Buba said to us. They got angry and forbid us to go to her anymore. She changed. Actually, she changed right after she finished telling us her dream. It was since then she started to wither away. We wouldn't run to her from time to time to ask her about her dreams, but she would always say that ever since that dream, she hadn't had another. She began to pine. A lot of time passed and she became even more frail. One day, she took a shovel. "Where are you going, Grandma?" says Stoencho. "I'm going to see your father," she said, and he ran after her. He ran and ran, but in the end, she crossed an invisible boundary in the forest, and he got scared. Not exactly scared. That's not the word. He felt he wasn't allowed to go any further, so he just watched her get further away until she shrunk to a tiny dot. After that, the whole village started to languish. Stoencho never stepped into the woods again. We went in, though just a few steps in, scaring ourselves with the idea that his grandmother would appear, but nothing ever did. A lot of time passed. People forgot about Baba Buba. We grew beards, became scruffy, stopped taking care of ourselves, and took to drinking. And how could we not turn to drinking? The village became deserted, Times changed. Big machines came and cleared the whole forest, and if there was any spirits left, they drove them away too. Later, it occurred to us to look for Baba Buba's grave, but there was nothing left in the forest. People turned wild. No one dared look the other in the eye. But at least we, being good for nothing, stayed in the village. About 50 people, more or less. Not a living soul. Just the old woman and us. The only thing left from the old days was the public still for distilling rakia. When people passed through our village, they would laugh and say it was old-fashioned thing. Maybe it was, but we keep it. It was all we had. So, we along with Stoencho and Magpie, all of us, good for nothings, would start gathering the falling fruit when the time came and go to distill rakia. We hauled up at the public still and didn't move for a few days until we distilled all the rakia. And we drank heavily. Magpie and I would call, and Stoencho would sit silently, always watching the bottles, checking every drop. We thought he was greedy, counting every last one. It was the same this year. We gathered, started distilling, sat in the warmth, and said nothing. We didn't have the strength anymore. Eyes open just enough to keep us on our feet. We couldn't see anything or anyone ahead. That day, we were reminiscing about Baba Buba, and somehow we got distracted and knocked over the bottles we had collected. Suddenly, Stoencho got agitated and started acting wild.
No. It's too early. We can't.
We told him not to get upset, but he reached for the last bottle we had left. You see, we were drunk and we snarled at him. "You beast!" Me and Magpie yelled and started beating Stoencho because we thought he wanted to take the last bottle from us. And then the rakia spilled and the three of us looked around. We listened. Nothing. We went outside. Nothing. We went back inside and Stoencho was holding the broken bottle, laughing.
Here it is. The last one. And now, let's see.
And as if we hadn't been drinking for the last 3 days, a change occurred to Stoencho. He stood up, his eyes shining, smiling all over, and turned the broken bottle upside down. Something happened then. We heard and looked around and saw a living whale. We had only heard of whales, but now we saw and heard one. A living whale in front of us, and we were somewhere very high above the ground. Suddenly, we heard fanfares. Then, as the drop hit the ground, something sucked us in, we started spinning, and suddenly, as we were sitting, something pulled us down where Baba Buba's mother had fallen. And the next thing we know, we are flying down, flying, and suddenly a bright light, like the sun. Then the sun suddenly stretched and fluttered, erupted, and sent us shooting back up the well, and we returned to find the village unrecognizable. Centaurs galloping up and down, Semundivas dancing their graceful dances, dragons flying in the sky, but it's still our village. So we head for the still, trying not to be seen, and there, right where the still is, we see the Sun King sitting on his throne. On both his sides are standing Baba Buba and her mother. They are looking at us, we are looking at them. We don't know what to say.
And it will be day forever, and everything no one believed would exist will leave this world and settle into another world.
We hear the distorted voice of the Sun King, and it's a little funny to us because why he's speaking in our dialect?
Hey, King, are you from around here?
Then Stoencho flinched, and we fluttered again like a drop. Baba Buba and her mother started laughing, and the Sun King trapped us in a bottle, and threw the bottle, and we started rolling around. We saw more whales, animals, spirits, and dragons. Unbelievable! We kept on rolling and suddenly smash. And we are back at the still. Just 3 of us, bearded, good for nothings. Nothing has changed. Apparently, we got poisoned by the fumes. It was beautiful. But Magpie shouldn't have mocked the Sun King. Stoencho is sitting there smiling. We tell him, Stoencho, we need to stop drinking. This isn't normal. We have to cut back. But he's still smiling with shiny eyes, goes outside, and we follow him. And we see a whale calmly flying over the village, letting out a huge groan. We looked up, and we see the ground. Now what?
We will sit for a bit and something will happen,
Says Stoencho, sitting on the edge of the village with his legs dangling into the void. I grabbed a piece of paper, put down everything I remember, take a bottle that hasn't been broken, and threw it just in case someone thinks of us and wonders where we've gone.
What did you do?
Stoencho asked me. I wrote where we are in case someone comes looking for us.
Did you sign your name?
Stoencho just smiles at me, and we're sitting down next to him, staring at the creation itself. And we think, when a person is destined to drown, they wouldn't hang themselves, right? But who believes in such things anymore?